some of the older ones. They're mainly ones constructed as sandstone. On our left-hand side, as we're on Argyle Street here, we have on the right is actually the last area here in this is coming up to our left on the next corner. You'll notice that it's a bit of a wedged, still good feed. If you really sucked up to Shanghai crew for ships, what they would do is actually, ships coming into port would have the problem of crew jumping ship, didn't want to do the return journey. Life at sea's too tough. So the captains would liaise with the local publican, throw on a big party, free alcohol, all the sailors would come from all around, get drunk, pass out, then they'd be dragged down through the tunnel, thrown onto a ship, and by the time they woke up, too far out to sea to care. Shanghai. So down here is on the right is where you find some of the oldest terrace buildings in Sydney. Many of these just to our right were used as the original government buildings when the city was first settled. As we go through the intersection here, you go to the waterfront restaurant.
Water with the Wolfies, yeah, thank you. Gosh, you're on the
over your left,
over
your right shoulder, sorry, you'll see the 3 cars up to your right-hand side. Playfair Street, the shortest street in Australia. Over your left shoulder, if you look over your left shoulder, you can see the building with a sawtooth roof with the mast restaurants, including one you'll be dining at tomorrow night, which is Wolfies. You also find 3 others there. That's where you'll be going to. Up to your right-hand side, you can see a staircase at the end of the street there. You'll notice that between many of the buildings there are walkways or arcades, and it's in these arcades that run between the buildings you find more shops. So it's the trick of walking through the rocks and exploring it properly is to actually go along many of these walkways, and it's a matter of stumbling across them. So don't be afraid to. Definitely take a walk through many or another. What I mean by that, you've got the beautiful new Renaissance Hotel here on the left. But if you look carefully, the bottom right corner of the building or hotel is actually an old building. You see here on your left-hand side now. It's part of an unusual building code that we have here in Sydney, where if developers buy an old building, for example, look to your front left, the Intercontinental Hotel. It's a new facade, you can see it all to your left-hand side now. But look what charm changes. See that?
Good idea.
This street is where you do find many government offices. Specialist doctors have offices along here. There tend to be a lot of lawyers. Now the old south wing to the hospital in 1855 became the first Royal Mint outside London. Today it's known as the Mint Lager. Those steeples actually never existed back when the church was originally built. I don't know if you heard about it on any news where you were at the time, but Sydney has big Carols by Candlelight concert, which was last weekend, I think, from memory, or the weekend before, and that's where it's held in the domain on your left. Something like 100,000 people were estimated being there. And to our right-hand side is the Art Gallery of New South Wales. Excellent art gallery. If you're into art, well worth going in and having a look.
Some of them are gum trees too.
Coming up on your left. But look what's in the front yard. It's a bit unusual. Looks like a lighthouse, but it's a navigational beacon marker. What's the difference, you might think? Well, if there's any seamen on board, you might be able to tell you, but there's a similar light. Well, there's 3 lights that shine from the light or window up there. And there's another light down on the lower part near the water level. When a ship comes into port, what he does is lines up the 2 lights, so it's a vertical line rather than a bent line. And when the lights are lined up, it means he's in the harbour channel, correctly positioned. So it doesn't flash or rotate as solid red lights. We're just on Wentworth Road here, named after a very famous man in Australia from a bygone era. It was a man known as William Charles Wentworth. He was attributed to helping with 2 other men with him to discover the first safe route through the Blue Mountains in 18...
good. There's still plenty to get. So you've got Tasman Sea.
Now, you can get a cup of tea or coffee to our front left-hand side.
Millennium. Jeep. It's a lovely spot. Bondi.
Impervious to the rain. Traditionally, they say that the weather folks say if it rains on Christmas Day, which it did, it's usually fine on New Year's Eve, but a little bit overcast.
Yes, fruitologist. Fruit stand.
Transport from getting from or to your hotel. But they wait around there because they're going to meet somebody. It's a popular meeting point. And there's Queen Victoria's statue on the left, looking as happy as ever.
Opera House, there it is. We're about to go inside.